Journey of consciousness, when reality and consciousness intersect. The journey of human consciousness has always been a mysterious and fascinating topic. From fundamental questions about reality to profound reflections on the nature of consciousness. Our lives are not just a series of events we go through, but also how we perceive and understand the world around us. Every moment in life, every event, whether big or small, is viewed through the lens of consciousness. Reality, something that seems obvious and unchangeable, becomes a space where our consciousness continuously influences and alters how we perceive, understand, and confront it. In the video, Journey of Consciousness, when reality and consciousness intersect, we will explore the marvelous intersection between reality and consciousness. Does reality truly exist independently? Or is everything we experience merely a construct created by consciousness? When we perceive the world around us, is reality something we can only see through our own subjective experiences? Or is there an objective reality that we can never truly touch? This question has prompted many philosophers, scientists, and thinkers to ponder and debate from ancient times to the present day. We will delve into various perspectives on the relationship between consciousness and reality. What creates the reality we live in? Is it merely what we perceive and feel through our own thoughts? Can humans truly understand the nature of reality? Or is everything we know just a part of a larger game that we have yet to decode? The journey of consciousness is not just about seeking the truth about the world around us, but also an adventure into our own inner selves, where we continuously question and seek answers to inquiries about existence and meaning. Let us open a space for exploration, where our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions will meet and form a comprehensive picture of reality. This journey not only helps us understand this world better but also provides an opportunity to reflect on ourselves and what we believe about the reality we live in. This journey is not just for those who love philosophy or science, but for anyone who wants to broaden their perspective and explore deeper the interaction between consciousness and reality. Welcome to Thinkdeep, where profound ideas are sparked and explored. Have you ever wondered why the world around you is the way it is? Today, we'll unravel secrets, discover new perspectives, and take you on an exciting intellectual journey. Don't miss a single moment, because every video on Thinkdeep is an opportunity to broaden your mind and challenge familiar thoughts. Hit like and subscribe so you never miss out. Let's get started right now. 1. Boltzmann brain and the question of reality. Imagine one day you wake up and find yourself floating in infinite space, with no Earth, no solar system, and nothing familiar except your own consciousness. The memories of your childhood, the familiar faces, the events that have occurred, do they truly exist? Or are they merely random arrangements of matter, creating a conscious brain for a moment before vanishing into the void? This is the idea behind the Boltzmann brain paradox, a challenging philosophical and physical hypothesis about the nature of reality. This paradox originates from the work of Ludwig Boltzmann, a famous 19th-century physicist who studied entropy, the principle that all systems in the universe tend to become more chaotic over time. According to his theory, in an infinite universe with infinite time, every possible arrangement of matter can occur, including atoms randomly combining to form a brain with memories and thoughts like yours, even if it only exists for a moment. The frightening aspect of this hypothesis lies in the fact that if there are countless ways to create a conscious brain from random arrangements of matter, then it is far more probable that we are merely Boltzmann brains, floating in the universe rather than entities born from a long history of evolution and development. In other words, it is quite possible that the world we believe we are living in does not actually exist. It is merely the product of a fleeting brain that has just appeared and will soon disappear. But if that is the case, why does this reality seem so coherent, stable, and continuous? If we were just a random phenomenon, wouldn't everything around us be filled with absurdities and inconsistencies? This is the main point of contention among physicists and philosophers. Some argue that the Boltzmann brain paradox is merely a theoretical hypothesis that cannot be tested. Others contend that it shows our perception of reality is much more fragile than we think. Imagine you are playing a perfect virtual reality game. Everything in the game follows the laws of physics, has logic, and order. But if you never have the chance to step out of the game to verify, how do you know that this is not the entirety of reality? A Boltzmann brain, if it could think like a human, would also ask the same question. Does the world it perceives truly exist? Or is it just a fleeting illusion in a chaotic universe? Arguments against this paradox primarily rely on the principle of selection. If we exist in a reality with clear laws, evolutionary processes, and a history spanning billions of years, then this means that Boltzmann brains cannot be more common than entities originating from a stable natural system. Nevertheless, no one can be certain that this is a satisfactory answer. So what does this mean for our lives? On one hand, it may make us feel that reality is fragile and uncertain. On the other hand, it can also help us appreciate the present more, because, Regardless of what reality is, the most important thing is our own experience. If we are living, feeling, and thinking, then reality, whether it is an illusion or not, remains all that we have. 2. Is consciousness necessary? Consciousness is one of the most complex and important concepts in philosophy, psychology, and cognitive science. So, is consciousness necessary? This is a question that philosophers, scientists, and those who study humanity have pondered for a long time, and its answer is not straightforward. In our daily lives, we can easily observe that consciousness profoundly influences human actions, thoughts, and emotions. However, when we delve into its nature, consciousness becomes vague and difficult to define clearly. Consciousness, in a simple understanding, is the ability of humans to perceive and reflect on what is happening around them and within themselves. It is not merely about sensing the world, it also involves the ability to think about one's own thoughts, to question oneself and reality. Consciousness helps individuals distinguish right from wrong, control their behavior, and make calculated decisions. However, not everyone fully recognizes its importance. In some cases, we may feel that our actions or thoughts occur automatically without much deliberation, such as when we walk, eat, or perform habitual tasks. This suggests that a part of humanity can exist without consciousness or only requires a very basic level of awareness. Yet, when we consider consciousness in a broader context, such as in moral decisions or significant life choices, its necessity becomes even clearer. In these situations, without full consciousness, individuals may fall into a mechanical state, acting without considering the consequences, while automatic actions, like driving after becoming skilled, can occur without much thought. Encountering new and complex situations makes consciousness essential. It helps us assess situations, consider options, and make responsible decisions. Another aspect of consciousness is its ability to create self-awareness. Humans do not just live in this world, they also live with an awareness of themselves. We know who we are. We can reflect on the past, feel the present, and think about the future. Without consciousness, individuals would not be able to have these reflective thoughts and, therefore, would not be able to develop or change positively. Understanding oneself, recognizing strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement is one of the important functions of consciousness. It not only helps us lead a stable and purposeful life but also serves as the foundation for personal growth and development. Consciousness also plays a crucial role in human relationships. In social interactions, being aware of the emotions, needs, and desires of others is extremely important. Without consciousness, we may act selfishly, disrespectfully, or fail to understand the feelings of others, leading to conflicts and breakdowns. Therefore, consciousness is vital not only for understanding oneself but also for empathizing with those around us. Questions about the nature of consciousness have also attracted the attention of scientists for decades. One prominent question is whether consciousness is a product of the brain. Research on the brain shows that brain activities can explain much of human behavior and thought. However, the question of whether consciousness can be fully explained by science remains open. It can be said that consciousness transcends simple physical factors, as it involves not only information processing but also abstract and spiritual elements that current science has yet to fully explain. This leads us to question whether there is some supernatural factor that accounts for human conscious experiences. However, there are also viewpoints suggesting that consciousness is not truly necessary for life and evolution. Some scientists argue that animals, despite lacking the level of consciousness humans possess, can still survive and thrive through automatic biological mechanisms. Their reflexes and behaviors are governed by genetic and environmental factors, and life continues without the level of awareness found in humans. Nevertheless, when compared to other species, humans possess superior creativity, abstract thinking, and learning abilities, and these traits are the result of consciousness evolving throughout the process of evolution. So, is consciousness necessary? The answer may be yes if we view consciousness as an essential factor for humans to exist and develop across various dimensions. From physiological to spiritual, from individual to social, consciousness not only helps humans understand themselves and the world better but also allows us to make meaningful and responsible decisions regarding our own lives and those of others. While in some cases, humans may live without deep consciousness, the development of consciousness has led to advancements in science, art, and society. Therefore, it cannot be denied that consciousness is an indispensable part of the development and evolution of humanity. 3. Time, a subjective flow. Time is a simple yet incredibly complex and mysterious concept for humanity. For a long time, time has been viewed as a continuous, unceasing flow in which everything, every event, occurs according to certain laws. However, the reality is that we cannot perceive time objectively. We can only understand and experience it through the subjective lens of each individual. Time is not merely a series of numbers or the minutes ticking away on a clock, it is also a feeling. An experience that each person living in it can perceive in their own way. Therefore, time is not an immutable entity but a subjective flow, a process that each of us perceives and evaluates based on our circumstances, moods, and life philosophies. When thinking about time, most of us will immediately think of specific time markers such as hours, days, and years. These time markers are often measured in objective, verifiable units like seconds, minutes, hours, days, and years. They serve as abilities for humans to organize their lives, work, and communicate within a common system. However, when we look at how we actually experience time, we can see that the feeling of time is entirely different. For example, a long day spent waiting for the results of an important event can seem to pass quickly if you are with someone you love. We may feel time fly by in the blink of an eye when enjoying a wonderful moment. But it can stretch endlessly when facing boredom or fatigue. The concept of time as a subjective flow can be most clearly observed through each individual's feelings about the past, present, and future. Humans do not simply live in the present, they also carry memories of the past and predictions and expectations about the future. We frequently live with thoughts about the time that has passed and the time to come. And these thoughts change how we perceive the present. When reflecting on the past, we may feel regret for what has been lost or remorse for choices never made. These thoughts make the past haunting and turn the present into a space filled with memories. As for the future, we often imagine what is to come, and our feelings about time at this moment are also very different. Sometimes, the future excites us and fills us with hope, while at other times, it brings fears and predictions of unfortunate events. These thoughts, though intangible, cause us to perceive time in completely different ways. The change in our perception of time is also evident as we age. For young people, time seems endless. They do not feel pressured by time, believing there are many years ahead to fulfill dreams, explore new things, and build lives. However, as they grow up and face responsibilities, work, and family, time becomes more precious than ever. Days seem to pass quickly and cannot be reclaimed. The feeling of time at this point is no longer one of infinity but of urgency and stress. Like a relentless flow with no way to slow down. For the elderly, time becomes even more valuable and limited. They perceive time more deeply, as they are acutely aware that it is passing uncontrollably, and every moment of survival is something incredibly precious. In addition to the feeling of time in personal life, the subjective flow of time is also clearly reflected in human relationships with the surrounding space and circumstances. One of the key factors that change how we perceive time is attention and mental state. When our minds are filled with thoughts, anxieties, or negative emotions, time seems to pass very slowly. Conversely, when we are fully immersed in a favorite activity, such as creative work or chatting with loved ones, time seems to fly by. In this state, we no longer feel the passage of time clearly. Instead, we focus on the present moment, experiencing a unity between ourselves and the world around us. Time, at this moment, is no longer a flow with a beginning and an end but a continuous state of existence. From these observations, it is clear that time is not just a physical concept but also a profound feeling intertwined with human emotions and perceptions. Each individual lives in a unique flow of time that cannot completely overlap with others. This also explains why two people can experience the same event but have entirely different perceptions of time. This difference highlights the subjectivity of time in human life. One person may feel a journey is long and arduous, while another may see it as a brief and enjoyable trip. Therefore, time cannot be measured entirely objectively. It always carries the imprint of each individual and their unique life experiences. This subjective perception of time is also evident in different cultures. For example, in Eastern cultures, time is often viewed as a continuous, cyclical flow, with no clear division between the past, present, and future. In contrast, in Western cultures, time is typically understood as a linear flow with a beginning and an end, emphasizing development and progress. This shows that the perception of time is not only dependent on the individual but is also strongly influenced by the cultural, social, and historical values of each community. In summary, time, from the human perspective, is not an objective flow but a subjective one, perceived and evaluated through each individual's life experiences. This flow is not only influenced by external factors such as work, responsibilities, or events but is also shaped by our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. Therefore, time cannot be measured with complete accuracy. It always carries the nuances and fluctuations of each person's feelings and beliefs. 4. The matrix of reality. Are we living in a simulation? The question of whether we are living in a simulation has captivated the attention of philosophers, scientists, and even enthusiasts of science fiction theories. This question not only challenges how we perceive the world around us but also invites a profound journey into the nature of reality, consciousness, and existence. While the theory of a simulation may sound like a product of imagination, it has garnered serious interest from leading philosophers and scientists over the past few decades. From the famous film, The Matrix, to debates in scientific workshops, the idea that we might be living in a simulated world has evolved from mere fiction into a deeply theoretical and philosophical issue. Starting with the fundamental question, if we are living in a simulation, how can we know it? Are there signs or clues indicating that this world is not the only reality we think it is? To understand this better, we need to revisit some basic theories in philosophy and science. From studies on perception to cosmic hypotheses, one of the most widely known theories is the simulation theory proposed by Nick Bostrom, a Swedish philosopher. According to Bostrom, there are three main possibilities. First, humanity will never reach a technological level high enough to create highly realistic simulations. Second, advanced civilizations may achieve this level of technology but will not be interested in creating simulations. And third, if such civilizations exist and create simulations, it is highly likely that we are living in one of those simulations. Bostrom does not assert that we are definitely living in a simulation, but he argues that this possibility is quite high, especially when considering the rapid development of technology and the ability to create increasingly detailed and vivid virtual worlds. So, if we are indeed living in a simulation, it means that everything we see, feel, and experience could be data encoded in a super complex system. The people, objects, and even the universe around us may just be simulated constructs built from sophisticated algorithms and software. This leads to a challenging question. If everything is a simulation, can we truly know what is real and what is illusory? Our sense of reality might just be a trap, a structure designed to make us feel as if we are living in a real world, while in fact, it is a program controlled by some superintelligence. Simulation theorists not only propose that we are living in a simulation but also suggest that everything we experience is pre-programmed. However, there may be skeptics regarding this possibility. They might ask, if we live in a simulation, why does everything seem so real? Why can we perceive the world around us, have strong emotions, and even develop technologies that we believe will help us transcend the limits of this world? One theory that could explain this is the high-resolution simulation theory. According to this theory, our simulation could be designed to mimic reality so closely that it becomes indistinguishable from the real. Perhaps we are living in a world with simulated data so sophisticated that there is no way to recognize that everything around us is merely illusory. Much like in the film, The Matrix, where characters are unaware that they are living in a virtual world controlled by a computer system. While there are theories suggesting that we might be living in a simulation, there are also many who oppose this idea. One of the main counter-arguments is that if the world we live in is a simulation, then this simulation must be incredibly complex and costly. Advanced civilizations may have the capability to create such a simulation, but we might not be the subjects of such a simulation when considering ethical, economic, and technological development factors. This raises questions about the rationale behind creating a simulation solely for a group of people to live in without any clear purpose. Furthermore, simulating a vast and complete universe as we experience it could be an undertaking so costly that it is nearly impossible to achieve. Additionally, some argue that while technology is advancing rapidly, we still do not have the capability to create a simulation as vibrant as the real world. Current simulations are still quite limited, although they can create simple virtual worlds. We have yet to create a world with the level of detail and complexity of the reality we inhabit. Therefore, the question of whether we live in a simulation remains unanswered and continues to be a topic of ongoing debate. Nevertheless, the simulation theory opens up many intriguing perspectives on the nature of reality and consciousness. It not only challenges what we consider to be real but also invites us to think about the limits of knowledge and understanding. Reality may not be what we imagine, it could be a complex structure, a game of algorithms and data that we have yet to fully comprehend. These questions also compel us to reflect on our place in the universe and the role of humanity in a world that may just be part of a computer program, a simulation that is continuously evolving. Whether we are living in a simulation or not is not an easy question to answer, and there may never be a definitive answer. However, contemplating this possibility helps us expand our awareness, explore the limits of reality, and pose profound questions about the nature of existence. In any circumstance, debates about the matrix of reality encourage us to reconsider how we understand the world around us. And sometimes, simply asking, do we truly understand this world, is enough to set us on an endless journey of exploration. 5. The silence of the universe. The silence of the universe is a concept that is both mysterious and contemplative. prompting us to ask questions about the nature of the vast cosmos and the mysteries it holds. When we gaze up at the night sky, we sometimes feel a stillness, an invisible pause, as if the universe is trying to convey something that we cannot hear. The universe is so vast that it is difficult to fully comprehend all its dimensions. We are tiny beings on this small planet, and throughout our lives, we can often only perceive the universe through the abilities of science or our intuition. However advanced science may become, the silence of the universe remains one of the things that humans cannot fully explain. So why is the universe silent? Is it truly silent, or is it simply that we lack the ability to understand and perceive what is happening within it? One of the most evident aspects of silence in the universe is the emptiness between stars and galaxies. The universe is not a place filled with sound, as depicted in science fiction movies where spaceships make loud noises or stars communicate with one another. On the contrary, the universe is a profoundly quiet space. The air in space is nearly empty, and sound, by our definition, cannot travel through this medium because there is not enough material to create sound waves. When we hear noise, it is the vibration of molecules in the air that our ears can detect. But in space, where there is no air, there is no transmission of sound waves, rendering all sound meaningless. The silence of the universe, in this way, is not a physical stillness but rather the absence of what we consider sound in this world. The universe is like an empty space where nothing emits sounds that we can hear. However, the silence of the universe is not merely a matter of sound. If we look at the universe from a different perspective, silence becomes an expression of infinity, of immeasurable vastness. Each star, each planet, each galaxy is a distinct entity with its own life and movement. Yet all exist within an incredibly vast space where there is no direct interaction between them. They move, shine, and radiate heat without making a sound, without any explanation for their presence. Humans, despite having great abilities to observe the universe, such as telescopes and spacecraft, still cannot fully understand what is happening in this immense silence. The universe does not open up to answer our questions, it remains silent in the face of all inquiries about life, origins, and its purpose. Each time we find an answer, countless new questions arise, and the silence persists, remaining unanswered. This silence leaves us feeling confused, lonely, and sometimes helpless when confronted with the mysteries of the universe. Yet, the silence of the universe does not always evoke negative feelings. It can serve as a reminder of human humility, of our status as a small part of a vast world that we cannot control or fully understand. The universe does not need to say anything for us to recognize its grandeur and eternity. The silence in the universe can be an invitation, a way for us to pause and reflect on ourselves and our place in this vast expanse. The universe may not require us for its existence. It will continue to spin, stars will continue to burn, and planets will continue to orbit the sun, whether we are present or not. This silence conveys a message about the impermanence and mystery of the universe, about the unpredictability of everything in life. It prompts us to reconsider what is happening around us and deepens our appreciation for our own lives. Moreover, the silence of the universe makes us ponder the connection between beings and the surrounding space. Are we truly alone in this universe? While there are signs suggesting the existence of planets that may harbor life, we have yet to find any clear evidence of life beyond Earth. The universe may be silent to remind us of the rarity and preciousness of life. Perhaps we are not alone, but the universe is so vast that each civilization, each form of life, exists at such great distances that they cannot communicate or interact with one another. Radio signals and waves from other planets may be calls, but the universe remains silent. Life in another form may exist, but the distance between us and them is too great, and this silence is an unavoidable part of our cosmic existence. From a philosophical perspective, the silence of the universe can also be seen as an expression of the inexplicable mystery. Humanity has proposed countless theories about life, creation, and the origins of the universe, yet all these questions remain unanswered. Despite theories like the Big Bang or multiverse theories, the universe remains silent about its deepest mysteries. Questions about the purpose and existence of the universe and life still lack satisfactory answers. In its silence, the universe seems to suggest that not everything can be explained, and not every question has an answer. This silence teaches us that some things transcend human understanding and may only be felt rather than explained through reason or science. Ultimately, the silence of the universe is not despair or a dull quietness. It is a challenge, an invitation for humanity to explore and seek understanding on our own. When faced with the silence of the universe, humans must learn to discover for themselves, to contemplate, and to find profound meanings in life. The universe may not speak, but this very silence compels us to cherish and seek answers to the endless questions about life, purpose, and our own existence. Silence is not an absence, it is a space full of potential for understanding and perception. The silence of the universe is an essential part of our journey to find meaning in this world. 6. We are not as special as we think. We are not as special as we think. This statement can evoke feelings of discomfort and even confusion for many. Humans, proud of their cognitive abilities, creativity, and achievements, often tend to see themselves as the center of the universe, as unique beings in a vast world. However, upon deeper reflection, we may realize that in an immense universe filled with billions of planets and millions of galaxies, our existence is merely a tiny, almost insignificant part. We may not be the special beings we believe ourselves to be. And this is not a failure but rather an awakening, a reminder to view ourselves and the world around us with greater humility. First and foremost, humans have a tendency to consider themselves the pinnacle of evolution. We are the only known species capable of thinking, planning, and altering our surroundings. With great achievements such as space exploration, technological advancements, and medical breakthroughs, humanity seems to have proven that we hold a special place in nature. However, upon closer examination, we are not the only species capable of problem-solving or adapting to our environment. Other animals, from tiny insects to large mammals, also demonstrate remarkable intelligence and survival skills in their habitats. While we may create magnificent structures, this is not the sole uniqueness of humanity. In fact, from a broader perspective, we are just one species among millions on this planet, with strengths and weaknesses similar to countless others. We also tend to think that humans are the only species with self-awareness and the ability to reflect on themselves. However, studies of various animal species have shown that many also exhibit signs of self-awareness. Primates, dolphins, and even some birds can recognize their own images in mirrors, a sign of self-awareness that we have long considered a privilege exclusive to humans. This does not mean we are less special, it simply serves as a reminder that in the natural world, the capacity for awareness and thought is not something unique to humans. Each species possesses its own distinct abilities to adapt and survive, and the traits we consider special may not be the only factors that contribute to a being's value. Moreover, in the vast universe, our existence seems to occupy a very humble position. We live on a small planet orbiting an ordinary star, within a galaxy that contains billions of other stars. The universe has millions of different galaxies, each containing billions of stars and planets. So, is our existence truly significant enough to claim that we are special? Are we the only beings in this universe? The universe is so vast that our existence may be just a grain of sand in the ocean. Questions about extraterrestrial life are increasingly raised, and to date, we have found no evidence proving that humans are the only beings in the universe. Perhaps other life forms on distant planets are thriving, and they may have developed abilities far beyond our own. If one day we were to encounter them, would we still feel special? Furthermore, when viewed objectively, human achievements are merely the result of a long, continuous process of development. What we have accomplished today is not the singular creation of any one individual but the culmination of thousands of years of accumulated knowledge and the efforts of millions who came before us. We cannot take pride in our accomplishments without acknowledging those who contributed before us. The uniqueness of humanity is not a fixed trait but a continuous process of evolution. And everything we have today is built upon the foundations laid by previous generations. Without the inventions of scientists, the works of architects, or the achievements of artists, could we truly take pride in what we have accomplished? So why do we consider ourselves special? Part of the answer may lie in human nature's tendency to overvalue itself. Throughout history, humans have sought meaning and purpose in their lives. Believing that we hold a special place in the universe helps us feel important and gives our lives significance. We want to believe that we are the pinnacle of evolution, that we are unique beings in this world. However, sometimes these thoughts can lead to complacency and a lack of humility. We forget that nothing is eternal, and everything we have today can change in the future. Therefore, recognizing that we are not as special as we think can help us become more humble and reassess our value in a broader context. In reality, accepting that we are not as special as we think can be a significant step toward maturity. This does not mean we lack value or worth, it simply means we should view ourselves more realistically. When we no longer see ourselves as the center of the universe, when we recognize that our lives are just a small part of a vast world, we can live more humbly and appreciate what we have. This humility is not about inferiority or submission but about understanding that we are merely a part of a larger process, and that each person and each species has its own role in the collective development of this universe. With this awareness, humans can cultivate a more positive attitude toward life, appreciating what they have and not considering themselves more special than anyone else. We can see that life is not solely about ourselves but is also about the connections between all living beings. between humans and nature, and between humans and each other. When we realize that we are not the center of the universe, we will find joy in living harmoniously with the world around us and take greater responsibility for what we have and what we do. So, if we are not as special as we think, does that mean we lack value? No, our value does not lie in our uniqueness but in our ability to live meaningfully, to make the world a better place, even if just in a small way. And when we recognize this, we will lead lives full of meaning, not needing to assert our uniqueness but simply being ourselves. 7. When memories deceive us. Memory, an indispensable part of our lives, is a priceless treasure trove containing past experiences, emotions, and thoughts. It helps us form our identity, connect with the past, and navigate the future. However, memory can sometimes be deceptive. It is not always reliable, and in many cases, it can transform actual events into vague, inaccurate, or even distorted images. Memory is not a perfect replica of reality, rather, it is a complex process of the brain, where information is filtered, altered, and even blurred over time. This makes us easily deceived by our own memories, failing to recognize that what we remember does not always accurately reflect what actually happened. From memories of significant life events to trivial recollections in our daily lives, we often believe these memories are essential pieces of the puzzle that makes up our existence. These memories create connections, making us feel safe and grounded in this world. We remember beautiful moments, sweet memories, and even failures and pains, all as part of our life story. However, not everything we remember is true. The human brain is not a perfect recording device. It does not retain every detail accurately but instead selects information to keep, sometimes overlooking or altering elements deemed unimportant. When an event occurs, the brain does not simply record images and sounds, it can also modify them based on emotions, thoughts, and other factors at that moment. As a result, the memories we believe to be true may have been distorted, embellished, or even completely erased without our awareness. You may have experienced moments in your life when you felt certain you remembered every detail of an event. But when comparing notes with others or reviewing evidence, you discover that your recollection does not match the truth. We might remember an event happening on a beautiful day, but in reality, it occurred on a rainy one. Our perceptions of a person may be entirely different from their actual actions. These memories are not our fault, they stem from how the brain processes information. When we experience an event, the brain does not simply record data but organizes and categorizes it. Emotionally charged experiences are retained longer, while less significant details may be erased or altered. This is why sometimes we remember an event with intense feelings, but upon reflection, we realize that our perceptions do not entirely align with what actually happened. A fascinating example of how memory can deceive us is the phenomenon known as the Mandela effect. This occurs when a large group of people remembers an event or detail in a similar way, even though it did not happen that way. A classic example is that millions of people worldwide remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, despite the fact that he lived on to become the president of South Africa. The question arises, why do so many people share the same false memory? This is because our brains can create false memories, sometimes based on incomplete information or elements we imagine during the recall process. When many people remember a distorted event, it reinforces that false memory, leading us to believe it is true. Memories are not only altered by time but also influenced by external factors. Elements such as stories told by others, comments, or societal impressions can affect how we remember an event. A famous study in psychology, known as the misinformation effect, has shown that new information we receive after an event can change how we remember that event. For example, if someone tells you that you did something, even if you do not remember it, you may start to believe that memory and even consider it true, despite the reality possibly being different. This illustrates that our memories are not a permanent and accurate record of everything we have experienced but rather a dynamic process, susceptible to change and adjustment over time. Moreover, memory is strongly influenced by our emotions at the time. When experiencing a significant event, the brain will remember the emotions associated with that event, and those emotions can alter how we recall it. We may vividly remember the joy of achieving a major milestone but may not recall the specific details of that event. Conversely, when going through a painful experience, strong emotions can obscure other details, causing us to remember only that feeling while forgetting objective factors. These intense emotions can make memories hazy, and sometimes we overlook important elements that we thought we were sure to remember. But what can we do to cope with the deception of memory? An important part is accepting that our memories are not always accurate, and we need to know when to question them. In fact, many people can learn to work with their memories by comparing different versions of the same event, examining available evidence, and being cautious when recalling an experience. Science has developed various methods to test the accuracy of memories, and one simple yet effective way is to record events as they happen. This provides us with a clear reference point to compare against later memories and helps avoid distortions caused by time or emotions. However, recognizing that memory can deceive us does not mean we must live in perpetual doubt. In reality, memory remains a crucial part of forming personal identity and connecting us to the past. Even if they are deceptive, these memories still hold value and can help us learn from mistakes, seek growth, and develop. What is important is that we maintain an open attitude, ready to acknowledge that our memories may not be perfect, and sometimes, this imperfection is part of the journey toward seeking truth and meaning in life. 8. Simplicity is truth, Occam's razor. Simple is the truth, a famous philosophical principle known as Occam's razor. Proposed by William of Ockham, an English philosopher and theologian who lived in the 14th century. This principle is not just a way to simplify theories but also an effective method for uncovering the truth amidst the myriad complex explanations in life. Occam's razor is not a physical ability but a metaphor indicating that when faced with multiple explanations for the same phenomenon, the simplest solution, with the fewest assumptions, is often the most likely to be correct. So, how can we understand and apply this principle in real life? And why is simplicity sometimes the best answer? One of the most prominent characteristics of humans is our ability to reason and explain the world around us. When confronted with problems or events, we often seek complex explanations, intricate theories, and sometimes even add unnecessary elements just to make the story seem more convincing. However, according to Occam's razor, the more assumptions, hypotheses, or factors included in an explanation, the greater the chance of error. Instead of complicating matters, this principle advises us to return to the basics, to the simplest and most understandable elements, and from there build more reasonable conclusions. We can easily find evidence of Occam's razor in many areas of life. A simple yet powerful example is in science. When scientists propose theories about natural phenomena, they frequently apply this principle to find the simplest answers to complex questions. Throughout history, many major scientific theories have been built on the foundation of Occam's razor. A classic example is Copernicus's cosmological theory, in which he hypothesized that the Earth revolves around the Sun, rather than the other way around, as was the common belief at the time. Instead of constructing a complex theory with numerous unnecessary assumptions to explain the movements of planets, Copernicus found a simple and understandable solution: the Earth is not the center of the universe. The simplicity of this theory provided strong persuasion and was later proven to be correct. In our daily lives, we can also apply this principle to solve the problems we encounter. When faced with an issue or difficulty, we often get caught up in searching for complex or vague causes. However, many times, the answer is much simpler. For example, when your car won't start, instead of assuming the engine is severely damaged, you might just need to check the gas tank or the battery, basic factors that are often overlooked. Here, simplicity not only saves time but also helps us avoid unnecessary complex reasoning. Interestingly, the principle of Occam's razor applies not only in scientific or technical situations but can also be used to resolve issues in human relationships. In communication, we sometimes tend to exaggerate minor issues into major disputes. A careless remark or an ill-timed action can easily be misunderstood, and we may come up with a myriad of complex reasons to explain our discomfort. However, if we return to the principle of simplicity, sometimes a straightforward conversation and a little patience are enough to resolve those misunderstandings. Complicating the issue only makes relationships more tense, while a simple and candid explanation can foster empathy and understanding. Simplicity not only helps minimize confusion but also has the potential to clarify what seems complex. Sometimes, we get so caught up in complex thoughts and hypotheses that we forget the most fundamental elements. Occam's razor reminds us that sometimes, the simplest answers are the most accurate because they eliminate unnecessary clutter. In today's age, where information is abundant and we face countless choices, this principle is more important than ever. Keeping things simple helps us focus on what truly matters and avoid getting lost in unnecessary details. However, simplicity is not always easy. In a world where problems are increasingly complex and intertwined, we may find it challenging to identify simplicity amid complexity. Sometimes, we ourselves create complexity by formulating unfounded theories or hypotheses just to make everything seem more reasonable. Therefore, simplicity is not something readily available, it must be consciously sought. Just like in science, eliminating unnecessary assumptions to find the simplest theory can be a laborious process. But it is always the most effective path to uncovering the truth. Another important factor in applying Occam's razor is the ability to accept imperfection. Sometimes, the simplest answers may not resolve every issue, But they still hold value because they bring us closer to the truth without creating unnecessary complexities. Simplicity is not about ease, it is about wisdom in eliminating superfluous elements and focusing on what is truly important. Acknowledging that we cannot always explain everything perfectly is part of the process of growing and gaining a deeper understanding of the world around us. In summary, simple is the truth, is a principle that holds value not only in science but can also be widely applied in all areas of life. Simplicity helps us view problems more clearly and accurately, eliminating unnecessary complexities and finding effective solutions. However, simplicity also requires us to learn how to identify and remove unimportant factors, and sometimes the ability to accept imperfection in the search for truth. Occam's razor is not just a method of reasoning, it is also a reminder of how to live and think in a world filled with complexities. 9. The randomness of fate. The randomness of fate has always been a fascinating and contentious topic in philosophy, psychology, and even in everyday life. Some people believe in the arrangement of a supernatural force, that every event in life has a clear reason and purpose, guided by an invisible hand. However, others argue that we are merely random beings in a vast universe, where everything happens for random, uncontrollable reasons, with no arrangement behind it. Is our fate truly a predetermined series of events, or is it simply the result of random occurrences that we cannot explain? This question has been posed for centuries and still lacks a definitive answer. But the randomness of fate remains a compelling concept that influences how we perceive our lives. Our lives, from one perspective, resemble a series of consecutive events, twists, and unexpected changes. Each passing day, we cannot predict what will happen, and this unpredictability creates a sense of excitement but also anxiety. Events, whether large or small, always contain an element of randomness, making them surprising and difficult to anticipate. We can plan for the future and build dreams, but sometimes things do not unfold as expected, and in those moments, the randomness of fate becomes most apparent. Events that occur do not always have clear reasons, and we do not always understand why they happen. Sometimes, good things happen at unexpected times, and sometimes pain and failure come when we are least prepared. Some people believe in the concept of destiny, that our fate has been predetermined, and that everything we do is set from the moment we are born. They think that each person's life is a story already written, and they are simply following a path that has been laid out. However, others argue that nothing is predetermined, and everything happens for random reasons. A small decision, a seemingly insignificant choice, can lead to significant changes in life, and no one can predict the outcomes of their actions. Viewed this way, we cannot say that everything is predetermined, rather, it is a series of random events that we cannot control. In reality, in many cases, the decisions we think are important and meaningful are sometimes just random outcomes of various factors. For example, when someone finds their dream job, they may feel that it is a right choice, a decision they have carefully considered. However, sometimes that job comes about unexpectedly, perhaps through a friend's recommendation or a chance encounter. They may feel that their career is the result of relentless effort. But it cannot be denied that random factors contributed to their success. In love, many people meet their partners through completely unexpected situations, such as running into each other at a party or accidentally connecting at an event. While we may believe that love is the result of choice and effort, we cannot deny that significant encounters sometimes happen randomly and unpredictably. Randomness exists not only in major decisions but also in the small details of daily life. A chance meeting, a random conversation, or even a simple event like arriving late to an appointment can change the entire course of your life. These events do not always have clear reasons, and we may never know why they occurred. However, it is these random factors that create changes, new opportunities, and sometimes the beginnings of unexpected stories. Idealists often believe that every event in life has a deeper reason, that we are not random beings but parts of a larger plan. They believe that the universe has a purpose, and we are simply playing our roles in that grand picture. However, materialists or those with a scientific perspective argue that everything is merely the result of random and natural factors. From this viewpoint, there is no arrangement or purpose behind events. Everything is just the interaction of physical and natural elements, creating outcomes that we cannot predict. This does not mean that our lives are meaningless, it simply means we live in a world where anything can happen randomly. And sometimes, it is this randomness that brings us unexpected opportunities and experiences. However, randomness does not always bring about good things. Sometimes, randomness can lead us to difficult, painful, or failed situations. An unexpected accident or an unforeseen incident can change our lives entirely. But this also reflects a profound truth. Life does not always go according to plan, and we cannot control everything. Nevertheless, the randomness of fate is what makes life interesting and appealing. It keeps us in a state of surprise and makes life rich and diverse. If life were merely a series of predetermined events, we might find it boring and lacking motivation. It is precisely because of randomness that we can explore, experience, and learn new things. Randomness can also motivate us to live more positively. When we recognize that everything can change unexpectedly, we learn to enjoy each moment, seek opportunities in every situation, and accept that what is happening may not be what we desire. But it helps us grow and develop. It is in the randomness of life that we find freedom and the opportunity to change, to create new things, and to explore our own limits. Ultimately, the randomness of fate is not something that should make us feel powerless or hopeless. In fact, randomness is an essential part of what makes life beautiful. It makes life vibrant, full of surprises and unpredictable opportunities. If we can accept randomness, we will learn to live more freely, unbound by plans and predictions, and instead learn to adapt and enjoy the journey that fate has laid out for us. 10. When humans are no longer human. When humans are no longer human, is a question that prompts us to reflect on the essence of humanity. What we call humanity, and what might happen when this so-called humanity is violated, altered, or even disappears. Humans have always taken pride in their cognitive abilities, emotions, and moral actions. However, in special circumstances, under social or psychological pressures, or even due to technological changes, humans can lose these fundamental qualities. So, what happens when humans are no longer human? Do we become emotionless beings, devoid of reason, or even machines lacking humanity? A common belief is that humans are defined by core values such as love, compassion, empathy, and self-awareness. These traits not only identify us as intelligent beings but also contribute to the dignity and character of an individual. However, in the modern world, the rapid changes in technology, society, and even fluctuations in personal consciousness have raised significant questions about the nature of humanity. As humans begin to live in a world where fundamental values like emotion and morality gradually fade, can we retain our human qualities? One factor that can lead to humans no longer being human is social alienation. In societies where material values and personal interests are prioritized, individuals may become selfish, indifferent to those around them, and even lose the ability to empathize with others. The erosion of love, the indifference in social relationships, and the lack of respect for differences can cause humans to cease being what we once understood as human. When greed and calculation dominate every action, humans are no longer beings capable of love, sharing, and appreciating what truly matters in life. Instead, we may become individuals solely pursuing personal interests, forgetting profound human values. In addition to social factors, technological changes are also profoundly impacting the nature of humanity. Technological advancements have enabled humans to access information, communicate, and perform activities quickly and efficiently. However, there are also potential dangers when we begin to rely too heavily on technology. Abilities like artificial intelligence, social media, and electronic devices allow us to live in a virtual world, where truth and genuine emotions are sometimes replaced by images and information that are not real. When humans no longer interact directly with one another, when we gradually become distant and less concerned about what happens around us, can we still retain our human essence? Will we become individuals who no longer know how to love, empathize, and share genuine values? One of the most evident manifestations of humans no longer being human is the loss of humanity in relationships. As life becomes increasingly busy and stressful, individuals can easily fall into a state of indifference. Relationships between people no longer provide connection but instead become cold and distant. Meetings are no longer opportunities to share emotions but become superficial transactions lacking genuine concern. People may become living machines, pursuing personal goals without considering the impact of their actions on others. Those living in such a society may forget the crucial roles of love, empathy, and altruism in relationships, leading them to become beings devoid of warmth and humanity. On the other hand, an undeniable factor is the change in how individuals perceive themselves. As social values shift, we may see that people gradually lose sight of who they are. They no longer know their identity and cannot uphold the ideals or values they once held. The confusion in defining personal identity can lead individuals to lose self-awareness and follow paths that are no longer the right choices. When people no longer know who they are, they become easily influenced by external forces, potentially losing their inherent freedom and character. This represents a form of spiritual alienation, where individuals no longer recognize their true value and cease to seek inner growth, merely living to meet societal expectations or those of others. Moreover, the rapid development of technology and societal shifts can also cause individuals to easily lose sight of fundamental human values. Modern technologies are gradually replacing jobs and roles that humans previously had to perform. This not only makes individuals feel less important in society but also disconnects them from the core values of life. People may become isolated individuals, cut off in a technological world, forgetting the genuine connections with their communities. They become detached from the real world and may even lose touch with the deep emotions that humans once experienced. So, when humans are no longer human, can we reclaim our humanity? Can we change and adjust our lives to avoid being swept away by material values, technology, or superficial passions? Perhaps one way to retain our human essence is to reconnect with the core values of life: love, compassion, empathy, and ethics. When we understand that these values define our humanity, we can protect and nurture them in our daily lives. Humans are not emotionless machines. We are beings capable of love and sharing with one another. Therefore, maintaining a connection to human values is crucial to not losing our humanity in an ever-changing world. Ultimately, the question, when humans are no longer human, may not have a definitive answer. But it certainly serves as a reminder that we need to be vigilant and reflect on what is truly important in life. In the modern world, with all its rapid changes and technological advancements, we must preserve and protect our humanity. We cannot allow ourselves to become beings solely chasing material interests or temporary goals. We must remember that love, compassion, and kindness are the true values that make us human. _. Conclusion. Questions about reality, consciousness, and existence are not merely philosophical issues, they profoundly influence how we live each day. By approaching the world with greater openness, we not only gain a deeper understanding of ourselves but also shape how we experience life. Is reality truly as we perceive it? Or is it all just an extended dream? This inquiry invites us to explore the nature of our existence and encourages us to reflect on the essence of our experiences, ultimately leading to a richer and more meaningful life. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope the ideas and knowledge shared have helped expand your perspective and deepen your thinking. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next ones. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video. Wishing you a wonderful day.